collapse always begins in silence, right before those who cause it realize they are standing on ground that has already hollowed out. And it is in that moment that you, the chosen one, step into this story, not with the sound of footsteps, but with a presence that forces darkness to see itself. No one says it out loud, but everything around you has changed color. Faces that once confidently built thrones on lies suddenly grow pale. The laughter they wore like armor begins to crack with every breath, not because of anything you do, but because the truth within you exposes what they are desperate to hide. They do not know that there are fires that do not need to burn to reduce structures built with trembling hands to ashes. And when the air changes, when your silence becomes a mirror too bright, the throne they built begins to tilt. Psalm 25:14 says that the Lord reveals his covenant to those who fear him, a vague yet piercing reminder that some things can only be seen from a different kind of heart. You do not ask for power. You do not chase false light. Yet real light follows you. Because of that, the fracture does not begin with you, but with them. Every lie they stacked upon another is like bricks laid in haste, glued together with jealousy and wired with envy. From the outside it looks like a fortress, but inside it is as empty as rotting wood, left forgotten in the rain. You simply stand there, and the truth begins to do its work. None of them can believe that an empire could fall simply because of the presence of one person who says nothing. But truth does not need defense. It only needs time. Handshakes once carefully calculated now grow loose. Smiles that once moved in harmony fall out of rhythm, as if each person is trying to keep balance on ground that is quietly sliding out from beneath their feet. This is not an accident, but a destined moment when everything built on lies begins to pay the price for how it was born. You sense it before they do, not through logic, but through the intuition of souls who have walked through darkness long enough to understand the whisper of truth. You do not need to warn them. The truth will do that. It begins with very small cracks, as if someone is tapping lightly on glass with a fingernail. The unaware will ignore it, but the honest hear in it a prophecy. What is built wrong will not stand for long. And when those cracks spread, you feel something quietly separating from the old world you were once thrown into. No one expects the faces that once stood united to turn on each other so quickly, but groups bound by envy are not companions. They are merely people standing under the same leaking roof, scrambling to blame one another when rain begins to drip down their necks. Those relationships look solid on the outside, but in truth, they are glass bottles taped together. One light touch is enough to shatter them, and you have known this for a long time, not because you guess well, but because you see what they try to hide. They once thought you were weak. They once thought your silence was surrender, but you know silence is a form of language, like sound, except it echoes longer in counterfeit rooms. You use silence not to escape, but to listen. And in that stillness, you hear the sound of something rotting at the foundation. They, accustomed to speaking loudly, hear nothing but their own voices. A few of them begin to notice the shift first. Those more sensitive to truth often feel their stomach tighten when the line between false and real begins to blur. They look at one another with anxious eyes, trying to read who will be the first to betray whom. But in reality, betrayal began long before they realized it. It arrived like a breath, without form, without name, yet everyone feels it crawling beneath their feet. You stand outside the vortex, watching everything unfold, not with satisfaction, but with the understanding of someone who was once targeted and now sees the entire picture. Each piece falls into place. Every secret they thought was buried deep begins to surface like ink spreading across wet paper, and you realize that you were never the true target. Their real target was the light they could not bear to face within themselves. You simply happen to be the one carrying that light. And as that kingdom of lies shakes more violently, you feel a strange peace settle over your soul. Not the peace of a victor, but of someone who knows the battle was not created by them and does not need them to end it. The collapse belongs to them. The rising belongs to you. You do not push it, but you are invited to witness it, as if someone has placed you in the front row of a play where the stage lights now shine on those who once believed they were the directors of this story. In that quiet breath, you understand something no one says out loud. When truth wants to reveal itself, it does not need argument. When light wants to enter, it does not need to knock. And when the time comes, no wall built of lies is thick enough to shield souls who have buried themselves in darkness. They set fire to their own nest and now act surprised as the ground beneath them collapses. But law shows mercy to no one, no matter how powerful they believe themselves to be. You only need to stand there, and everything begins to rearrange itself into the shape it lost long ago. Those cracks that seem lifeless do not stop at a faint sound of splitting. They spread like fractures across glass under pressure from a truth no one has the strength to hide anymore. You see that spread not with your eyes, but with a deep sensation, as if your soul can hear the sound of something collapsing, even while the surface still tries to stand. The people who once joined forces to build that false throne begin to feel its tilt, but instead of looking at the cause, they look at one another with suspicion, as if the person beside them is the one who secretly pulled a brick from the foundation. You do not intervene, but your presence makes the fog around them unable to stay thick. What was hidden begins to flash under a light they cannot escape in time. A strange breath moves through the invisible room where they gather, and every mask, carefully smoothed over months, begins to slip from its place. No one speaks it aloud, yet everyone knows that what they did together is turning back on them, as if the wind has shifted and returned every speck of dust they once threw into the dark. You do not stand close to them, but truth stands beside you, and wherever truth is present, alliances built on envy begin to sway. Those people were never truly united. They only met at a shared hatred of you, and when that common point wavers, every piece falls apart, revealing the cracks they tried so hard to seal. A sentence echoes in your mind, not as someone's words, but like a resonance that existed long before. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Psalm 37:4 arrives not as a lesson, but as a confirmation that power does not come from responding. Power comes from keeping your heart clean in a world that is breaking. When they lose their balance, you remain steady. When they try to pull one another down to save themselves, you simply stay still and let your light do the rest. That frightens them more than any words you could speak. Their outward appearance begins to change before they even realize it. The smiles once used to mock you now seem frozen in place. The eyes that once lit up while weaving stories meant to bring you down now begin to tremble, as if carrying a fear they dare not name. What they do not understand is that this fear does not come from anything you do, but from the moment they begin to see themselves in the mirror. Every scheme, every betrayal, every lie is replayed before them, but this time without laughter to soften the sound. You feel that shift spreading like ripples on water after a stone falls. You did not throw the stone, truth did, and when it touches the surface, every wave they tried to keep smooth begins to warp. They sense themselves slipping from the position that once made them confident, but no one dares to say it, because to say it would mean admitting that everything they built was only a thin coat of paint. You do not need to expose them. Time does that on its own. Before you, the lies they share with one another are like strings tied around each wrist being pulled tight. Everyone fears being seen trembling, yet everyone knows those strings are growing too thin to hold. Someone suddenly looks at the person beside them, not seeking comfort, but suspecting that this will be the first to run when everything breaks. That suspicion is the second crack. It does not come from outside. It is born from within, from souls that know they no longer control the fate of the throne they once believed they could keep forever. You take a step forward, not physically, but spiritually. The space of the story tilts toward you, as if the light within you causes the dark places where they hide to shrink. They once believed that light was weak, but they did not know that true light never runs. Darkness is what must retreat, and when darkness retreats, what lies beneath it must reveal itself. A small chaos appears among them, not loud enough to draw attention, but strong enough for you to feel the movement of what is coming. One lie no longer fits. One detail is told twice in two different ways. One ally hesitates when forced to repeat the old story. These fragments do not fall apart by chance. They fall apart because their foundation was never truth. You see those gaps not to take pleasure in their fall, but to understand that this is the moment truth begins to reclaim the place they tried to occupy. Those people now stand on slanted ground, clinging to one another while trusting no one. You do not need to step into their performance. The stage collapses without you lifting a hand. You feel one thing with clarity. This is not a moment of revenge. This is a moment of exposure. Exposure is born not to please you, but to free you from the long shadow they cast over your life. When the masks fall, you see the truth about them, and through that, you see the truth about yourself. A deep breath fills your chest. No one hears it, but it is the signal your soul recognizes before what comes next. What they planted, they now harvest. They once believed they held the strings, but the strings tighten around their own hands. You are only the one standing nearby, invited to witness the curtain beginning to tear, each thread unraveling as if something higher is rewriting this story without asking anyone's permission. And the moment you realize that, you know this journey is far from over, and the breaking ahead will not end here. None of them expected that your silence would become a mirror, forcing each person to face themselves. And in the moment when the layers of disguise begin to fall away, an old question quietly returns, soft as a breath of wind, yet sharp as a blade sliding across stone. Why did they choose you as the target from the beginning? That question once hurt you, once made you think something was wrong with you, once led you to believe that maybe you were weak, careless, inexperienced with life. But now, as you see the weariness beneath the faces of those who once stood on the same side only because they hated you, the question changes shape. It is no longer self-blame. It becomes a reflection of truth. What did they see in you that you had not yet recognized in yourself? You are not someone who creates conflict. You are not someone who seeks the spotlight, but you are someone who carries light. And light does not need many words to make darkness uncomfortable. You simply live as you were created to live, honest, steady, uninterested in display, unwilling to rely on crowds to define your worth. Yet that quiet way of being is exactly what unsettles them most. They do not understand strength that needs no stage. They do not understand how you can influence without manipulating anyone. They do not understand why the more they try to press you down, the more your stillness confuses them. They think you are silent because you are afraid, not knowing that your silence is the measure of a soul deep enough to remain unmoved by storms. Psalm 91:7 once said, "1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but disaster will not come near you." Those words move through the air like an invisible cloak resting on your shoulders, not to boast of safety, but to remind you that divine protection is never loud. It does not arrive with thunder. It arrives as a peace that others cannot understand, wondering why you still stand after they have tried every way to bring you down. You can clearly see the exhaustion on the faces of those who once poured their focus into watching you. They do not realize that while they were fixated on you, they were neglecting their own lives. Their responsibilities fell behind. Their relationships cracked. Opportunities quietly slipped from their hands. They failed to see that every hour spent observing you was an hour taken from their own future. You do not wish for their failure, but you see the truth plainly. Obsession always burns the one who carries it long before it ever reaches its target. And right in the middle of that moment, as you stand in a space where all their noise begins to fade, you feel a movement within yourself. Another question rises, this time carrying steadiness. How many battles have you crossed not to prove your strength, but to learn not to fight what is unworthy? You understand now that they did not target you because you were wrong. They targeted you because they saw in you what they could never become. Every attempt to make you smaller only revealed their own lack. In that quiet space, you feel as if you are standing on a bridge between two versions of your life. On one side is the place where you were misunderstood, rejected, spoken against. On the other is the place where you begin to look back and realize those moments were not wounds, but signs of selection. You did not choose to be attacked. The light within you caused darkness to choose you as the place to test its blade. And now, looking back, you see that you never truly fell. You were being refined in ways they could not comprehend. Because of that, something natural rises within you, not pride, but recognition. This journey was never only about them, it is about you. About how you stood firm, how you endured, how you kept your soul from slipping into hatred. And when you look again, you understand why you are still here, while the empire they built on lies is beginning to collapse. If you are listening to this and feel the story touch something deeply real within you, leave a comment, simply to acknowledge that you are waking up in the part of life where you belong. Not to prove strength, but to remind yourself that you are not walking alone. If you wish to follow this journey to where it leads, you can stay, because this story still has many layers waiting to unfold. What matters is not action, but the feeling that you know you belong to this current of light. Another silence settles in, but this time it carries no weight. It feels like the space before dawn rises, the moment when the sun is not yet visible but its light can already be felt. You look at those who once saw you as a threat and realize that you are no longer trembling. That trembling once existed, but now it is gone, as if the deepest part of you has just closed an old door. You see truth at work, gentle yet sharp. They are not being punished for hating you. They are paying the cost of betraying their own nature. You do not seek revenge. You simply witness them falling into the pit they dug together. And while they struggle to find a way out, you feel yourself standing higher, not in position, but because your soul is not dragged down with them. A deep breath fills your chest, as if new air is preparing to open another chapter. You sense that what is collapsing now is only the opening act. The truth has not finished speaking, and the light has not yet reached every place it is meant to shine. That invisible pressure keeps pressing down on those who once believed they had built a stage you could never reach. But they did not know that stage was uneven from the very beginning. Every string they pulled, every story they wove together, every trap they laid carried the imprint of their own hands, as if each action quietly signed a sentence they believed was well hidden. You see this not through calculation, but through the intuition of a soul that has walked through darkness long enough to recognize real light from false fire. And as they continue their performance, you can clearly hear the sound of the table trembling, the table they believed they had arranged perfectly. But that table was never stable. It was built on sinking ground, made of ambition and jealousy. On the surface, it gleamed like a banquet table prepared for a grand opening. But underneath were rotting beams, legs hastily joined with empty promises, loose joints formed by people who only knew unity when they shared someone to hate. Every small vibration is not an accident. It is law rising from below. You feel that vibration as if the ground itself is signaling that it is about to return everything to its rightful place. A line from Scripture crosses your mind, not as teaching, but as an ancient truth you have always known. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it. Proverbs 26:27 arrives like a light touch on the surface of the story, exposing what they try to avoid. No scheme escapes its own path. They dug the pit with triumph, believing the trap would hold you, would silence you forever. But they forgot one simple thing. A pit does not ask who deserves to fall. It only takes the one closest when the ground gives way. And now, one by one, they begin sliding toward the edge of the pit they dug together, not because anyone pushes them, not because you strike back, but because the nature of what they built cannot stand forever. The harder they try to steady the ground beneath them, the wider it cracks. Something in their eyes reflects a fear they have never known before. Some begin to deny responsibility, trying to separate themselves from the collapsing group. Awkward explanations burst out, overlapping, as if speaking loudly enough might make truth disappear. But truth does not leave. It simply stands still and watches them struggle. You observe this from a strange distance. Not physical distance, but the distance of a soul, no longer tied to what does not belong to it. You watch them run, watch them blame, watch them switch roles between attacker and the afraid, and you understand this is a moment none of them prepared for. They knew how to set traps, how to spread stories, how to form alliances to bring someone down, but they never learned how to stand when light shines on where their hands were hidden. The bonds between them begin to loosen, as if each person is trying to cut the cord connecting them to shared guilt. But that cutting only speeds the collapse. When one breaks away, the entire structure tilts. You feel each movement not with satisfaction, but with clarity, knowing that justice does not move by anger. It moves by its own trajectory, and that trajectory is heading straight for the center of the table they once trusted. A quiet chaos spreads among them, not loud, but enough for confusion to reflect in every face. Some try to pull others into their explanations, but those who agreed yesterday no longer want to share the risk today. The stories they once rehearsed to sound the same now lose rhythm. One uses one word, another uses a different one. One detail is added, another forgotten. That misalignment is the first sign of complete collapse. You see clearly what they cannot. The table was rigged from the start. Not rigged for you to lose, but rigged for truth to win. You did not set that design. Truth did. Truth does not announce itself when it begins to lift the curtain. It only needs one weak point, and they provided hundreds. Every lie is a crack. Every attempt to align their story tightens another thread. Every time they spoke of you with triumph added more weight to their own throne. When that throne begins to tilt visibly, real panic finally appears. The one who led grows silent. The loudest loses their voice. The most confident no longer knows where to stand. They do not realize what makes them tremble is not you, but truth moving like waves beneath their feet. They have no foundation, because every foundation they built was sand. You stand there, feeling a current of light pass through your chest, slowing and deepening your breath. No bitterness, no resentment, only the awareness that you are standing in the place you once searched for in the dark. Not the place of revenge, but the place of release from the nightmare they created. You do not need to speak to prove you were right. their collapse speaks for you. A feeling like a new door opening appears within you, without shape but full of energy. You know this is only the beginning of exposure. Truth never reveals everything at once. It peels layer after layer, allowing you to witness each piece fall. So you understand you were never as small as they tried to make you believe. And as the first dust rises at the feet of those who once trembled under light, you know what is coming will go even deeper. Those chaotic movements do not stop at the surface. They begin to travel all the way down to the bottom, where each lie is stacked like damp bricks in a wall that was never truly strong. When the foundation trembles, each brick loses its support, and those who once relied on mutual complicity finally realize they are standing on ground they themselves have allowed to rot. You see this spreading clearly, not through any direct action, but like natural law rising to reclaim its order. The strings they pulled, the secrets they shared in the dark, the smiles filled with intent now turn into links that begin separating from the chain. And when one link slips away, the entire chain starts to slide. One person steps back first. That step is not repentance, but fear. You can clearly see the slight tremor in their eyes, like someone standing before a fire they helped feed but no longer know how to extinguish. No one in the group dares to speak, yet everyone knows the cover is beginning to fail. Words they once spoke with confidence now return as distorted echoes, forcing each person to hide their trembling hands beneath the table. They try to deny the truth by moving closer together, but that closeness now carries the scent of fracture. You move through that air with a calm they cannot explain. Another shadow crosses before you, not from them, but from your own memory of what they once did. This time, the memory does not pull you down. It stands as a witness, as if truth wants you to look back with new eyes, to understand that you are no longer the one pushed into the corner. You are the one given the position to see the whole picture, and that whole picture is revealing itself. A line rises from the depths of your mind, not spoken by human lips, yet touching the place you once believed was weakest. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1 becomes new ground beneath your feet, not to lift you above them, but to keep you from being swept into the chaos circling around them. You stand firm not because you are hard, but because you no longer need to sway with the winds they create. Meanwhile, they begin turning in every direction, searching for a cause outside themselves. What they do not realize is that this chaos needs no push. It grows from the nature of what they have done. One lie expands into two. Two lies open three gaps that cannot be sealed. Conversations once held in darkness now appear in daylight like paintings flipped to reveal their reverse. You do not need to turn them over. The invisible hand of time does that. A second person begins to falter. Their voice breaks midway as they try to explain the failure of a plan they once believed was flawless. Former allies no longer look at them with familiar eyes. They look at one another like people who signed a contract together and now refuse to read it again. You clearly see the separation take shape. It is no longer a group, only individuals trying to distance themselves from the truth, catching up with them. You do not step forward, but truth moves toward you. It stands between you and them like a layer of light that makes every mask harder to hold. You feel it so clearly you can almost hear the quickened breath of each soul, struggling to cling to a role they no longer have the strength to perform. Pieces of that rigged table fall away like boards removed from a rotting bridge. You are not the one removing them. Their own weight does that. Another moment appears, longer than a breath, shorter than a gust of wind, yet enough for you to see truth flood the space like rising water. You do not fear that water, because you know it does not come to carry you away. It comes to wash out what no longer belongs here. You see fear in their eyes, not because you have won, but because they no longer know what to hold on to. A third person suddenly rises from their invisible chair, as if survival instinct drives them to flee the very pit they helped dig. But where can they run when the ground beneath them opens in the exact shape of what they planted? They turn their back, yet their back exposes even more of the truth they tried to hide. You see it not with judgment, but with understanding. This is consequence, not revenge. Truth continues pressing into the gaps they once believed were sealed tight. Every secret they thought was deeply buried begins to surface like broken stones pushed back to shore by waves. Every whisper they once exchanged reveals its tone, forcing each person to face the question they fear most. Who are they really when the false lights no longer shine on their faces? You feel it pass through you like a warm current of air, carrying a strange calm. Not the calm of someone standing in victory, but of someone who knows justice has its own voice, its own pace, and never overlooks anyone. You stand there without needing to do anything, yet every detail continues to move around you as if the story itself is finding its way back to proper order. Then a silence settles. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of collapse taking its final shape. You know what is coming because the atmosphere has changed. Truth is no longer moving slowly. It is accelerating, and within that acceleration you feel your soul rise, as if you are being invited into a new chapter without carrying a single trace of trembling from the old one. Each movement of that collapse begins to go deeper, no longer just small, isolated cracks, but forming waves of vibration, as if the entire space around them is receiving the sentence they themselves have written. You feel a different current of air move in, heavy and clear, as if truth is pushing the story into its deeper layer. No one among them can hold the confident posture they once had. Those who once stood with squared shoulders now shrink inward, and faces that once carried arrogance now show the confusion of those who no longer know what to hold on to. They thought they were hunters, but standing before the light, they now realize they were only wanderers lost in a maze of their own making. You see the exhaustion in their eyes as they try to piece together the old story, but every fragment carries a different shape. One lie is stretched too far. One secret is recalled in the wrong color. One voice changes tone. One person swallows faster than usual. All of it looks like crooked lines scribbled across a map they no longer have the strength to hide. You do not need to analyze it. You simply feel the collapse spreading like mist, covering the invisible room where they once gathered with confidence to calculate. Then truth takes another step, not a rushed step, but the step of a judge who is never hurried, yet always certain. It exposes a weak point in their system, a whisper misheard, a message answered too late. Someone shifts their attitude within a single breath. You see clearly that the alliance they believed was strong was only mismatched wood fitted together. When the first nail comes loose, the entire door trembles as if about to fall from its hinges. In the middle of that widening chaos, you feel something like a thin veil lifting from your eyes. You see the precise movement of justice, not rushed, not tangled, but so orderly it leaves you silent. Justice does not arrive with thunder. It arrives in details slipping out of their usual place. It arrives when what once made no sense suddenly does. It arrives as everything quietly returns to its true shape without anyone giving commands. A line of scripture gently touches your mind, like a note placed at exactly the right moment. I test the heart and repay each person according to their ways. Jeremiah 17:10 feels like the key to everything unfolding before you. You do not wish for them to be tested, but they placed themselves on a path whose ending could not be gentle. And now that path reaches the point where what they invested in darkness must be returned. They begin to panic in different ways. One speaks loudly to drown out truth. Another falls completely silent, hoping that if they say nothing, the light will not reach them. Another turns toward you with searching eyes, as if hoping you will say something to help them cling to the old story. But you say nothing, not because you are cruel, but because this is not a conversation between you and them. This is a conversation between them and truth. Truth continues forward, not fast, not slow, only steady like the steps of a new day. Allies who once built an entire performance together now look at one another differently. There is no trust, no sharing, no bond of a common goal. They are beginning to see that each person is searching for their own escape. And in that journey, anyone is willing to leave another behind if needed. That is when you understand their alliance never truly existed. It was only the long shadow of hatred. And when light shines, that shadow dissolves. You feel a gentle wind pass through, as if something sacred is touching the curtain and pulling it farther back. And as the light moves deeper, truth becomes clearer. Someone in the group accidentally speaks a line that throws everything off script. Another frowns, fear carving itself into their face as they realize they cannot save the story they once carefully crafted. They believed the blade they threw would reach you. No one told them that blade was tied with a line that returns. The collapse within them continues to spread, not in a straight line, but in spirals, like a storm moving from the inside out. You stand still, feeling the strange peace of someone who knows they do not need to step in to adjust anything. You are no longer trapped in the role of victim. You are not pulled into the role of enemy. You stand in the role of one given vision, to see in order to understand in order to step out of the darkness they tried to pull you into. At this point, truth is no longer only exposing what they did. It begins to reveal what you are, someone stronger than they believed, someone they cannot manipulate, someone they cannot break, someone whose silence is not weakness but the strategy of a soul. You see this clearly within yourself, as if a great mirror has been placed before you so you can finally see the light you once hesitated to name. Once again, you hear the vibration on the surface of the rigged table, but this time it is no longer a warning. It is confirmation. You know what is coming. They know it too, but unlike you, they are not prepared for the ending of the game they created. They do not realize that the day they planted betrayal was also the day they placed the final mark on themselves. And then truth reaches the next boundary, sharp like a freshly honed blade. You feel it rise to the surface of the story, making the air clear like spring water. No more blur, no more shadows. Everything becomes so visible that no one among them can pretend anymore. They do not fall because of you. They fall by their own hands. From the moment truth becomes clearer, the space around them changes color like a room that has been covered by curtains for too long and has just opened its doors to the wind. The things they tried to hold tightly in the dark suddenly grow too heavy to keep, and each person begins to fall into the chaotic rhythm of a conscience they avoided for so long. You feel that movement spreading like waves, not violent waves, but steady and powerful ones, as if a force greater than everything is reclaiming what belongs to it. Truth does not stop at exposing what they have done. It begins to touch what they were never prepared to face, the deepest fear within each of them. They no longer look at one another with the eyes of complicity, but with the eyes of people forced to realize they helped build something with no escape. Every lie they created to protect one another now becomes evidence against themselves. Every secret they shared in twisted trust now turns into a blade hanging above each head. You see every subtle shift in them. One person starts looking down as if trying to construct a new excuse. Another turns away, afraid of being exposed. Another tries to return to their old cold expression. but their trembling hands no longer allow the mask to stay in place. The threads that once bound them now snap one by one, like strings stretched too long that suddenly break with a sharp sound and then fall silent. That silence spreads, not the silence of peace, but the silence of something about to shatter. While they spiral inward, you feel as if you are standing on different ground, not the ground of danger, but the ground of awareness. You see clearly that this battle was never about numbers or power. It was always a battle between truth and things that claimed strength but had no roots. And truth never loses when it faces what is hollow. Then from the center of that chaos, a small but sharp shift appears. Someone in the group reveals a detail no one expected. A sentence slips out like a small stone dropped into still water, but the moment it touches the surface, the entire lake begins to ripple along its natural path. Former allies turn to look at one another, no longer united in their gaze. Only suspicion they cannot hide. In that moment, you understand that truth has moved deeper. Confusion no longer hides in the dark, but shines directly on their faces. A quiet line rises within you, as if heaven and earth are reminding you that cause and effect never leave their hands. Whoever digs a pit for others will fall into their own pit. Psalm 7:15 does not arrive as a warning, but as confirmation that the trajectory of betrayal never ends with the victim. It returns to the one who planted it like an arrow released from their own hand, and you feel that arrow flying back, straight and precise, sharp as a blade that has chosen its target. None of them were prepared for this moment. They were used to living in darkness, where everything stayed hidden enough to keep playing their roles. But light no longer leaves them a place to hide. And when the first beam touches them, the carefully applied layers begin to melt away. The stories they built over months start to crumble right in their hands. Each person tries to retreat from the scene, not realizing the trap closed long ago, and they were the ones who stepped into it. You watch the collapse without bitterness. It is not your victory. It is confirmation that what is right always reveals itself with time. You see them flinch from the light, but the light does not flinch from them. It moves forward steadily, like the sun rising each morning without permission. You understand that you are only a witness, not the cause. You are invited to see the shift of the wind, to see darkness shrink when it no longer has anything to cling to. Then truth does what it always does. It touches the weakest point. Someone suddenly contradicts what they said before. Someone withdraws a statement. Someone else, under pressure, accidentally releases a detail the group agreed to hide. These moments are small, almost invisible to outsiders, but you see them clearly like flashes before thunder. The air in the invisible room where this story unfolds becomes thick. You feel an unseen weight pressing on shoulders, on necks, on eyes that refuse to meet the light. They can no longer run. They can no longer blame anyone. They no longer trust one another. All that remains is themselves. And what they see there is not strength, but decay they hid for too long. Meanwhile, you feel a gentle current of light steady you. Not a dramatic light, but the light of a soul that has walked through darkness without letting darkness touch its core. That light allows you to see not only their collapse, but your own freedom from being bound to their voices. You watch them fall, but you do not fall with them. You stand outside the storm, and that is what makes the storm visible. A new current of air moves through you, as if heaven and earth are pulling you away from that vortex to prepare you for a deeper part of the journey. You do not know what the next chapter is, but you know one thing with certainty: their darkness no longer has the power to pull you down. Truth has separated you from that circle like a kernel freed from a rotting shell. And as you stand there, hearing the cracking of the souls that once gathered to bring you down, You know that the exposure has only just begun. You stand at a boundary as thin as a thread, as truth begins to spiral deeper into the layers they hid most carefully. No longer are these easy lies to recognize, no longer just avoiding eyes, but a collapse from the core, the place none of them ever dared to examine. They begin to feel the weight of what they once planted, as if every thought, every intention, every scheme has turned into a layer of stone pressing on their chest. Meanwhile, you remain still, and your stillness sharpens the truth even more. The light within you does not make them fall. It reveals where they have been decaying for a long time. One person in the group looks around in desperation, hoping to find someone who still wants to hold this alliance together. But all they meet is the cold indifference of those who once clasped their hand. They do not understand what is happening, but you do. Alliances built on hatred do not endure. That bond is nothing more than two rotten pieces of wood leaning against each other. Push one slightly, and the entire structure collapses. And that collapse does not arrive with thunder, but with a heavy silence, as if the sky itself is holding its breath before delivering judgment. You feel the wind change direction, not a physical wind, but a spiritual current. It lifts you out of their field of influence, raising you above the voices that once tried to suffocate you. That is when a strange mark appears within you, not as words, but as a certainty that is hard to explain. A number rises like a call. 777, the number of awakening, of a divine door opening to carry the soul into a level of understanding that darkness cannot touch. You do not know why it appears now, but you know it does not appear without reason. 777 is a sign of transition, a moment when what once clouded your vision is swept away and who you are is revealed in undeniable light. And if anyone listening to this story feels 777 resonate within them like a bell striking the deepest place, it is not coincidence. It is a mark inviting you into a new chapter of life. If you wish, you may share the number that resonates with you, as a gentle confirmation that you are ready to step where the light is calling. While that mark spreads through you like the warmth of dawn, the group sinks deeper into a quiet panic. One person mutters something about needing to stay calm, but their voice splits, as if they themselves do not believe their words. Another suddenly stands, eyes darting, trying to find an escape from the truth closing in. But truth is not a door that can be locked. It is light pouring in through every crack. And now there are too many cracks to hide. You realize their fear is no longer aimed at you. It is aimed at what they see within themselves when the masks are gone. When they face themselves, they see the emptiness of the alliances they once believed were solid. They see the meaninglessness of the lies that sustained them. They see that the image they thought was power was only the shadow of what they wished they could become. One last person cannot bear the pressure, and in confusion, they blurt out a small piece of the truth. Just one fragment, but it is enough to knock the rest of the group out of defense. Voices overlap, denying, blaming, justifying. Small grinding sounds like strings about to snap. And you know this is the moment when truth no longer needs you to observe. It stands up and does its work. You step back half a beat, not from fear, but because you sense the sacredness of this moment. In that chaos, you are not pulled in. You are lifted out. You see yourself as if through clear water, calm, steady, untouched by the storm churning inside them. Then from deep within you, another line rises like a bird call at dawn. The Lord will keep your soul from all evil. Psalm 121:7 appears not to reassure you, but to show you what is happening before your eyes. Protection does not always look like a raised arm. Sometimes protection is being kept outside a vortex others create. Sometimes protection is separation from chaos you once believed you were trapped in. And sometimes, protection is the moment you realize you never belonged where they placed you. They continue shouting words mixed with fear and defense, but you only see souls breaking under the weight of their own consequences. One grips the arm of a chair as if afraid of being swept away. Another holds their head, whispering to themselves. A few turn to one another with desperate eyes searching for rescue, but no one has the strength to save anyone. All that remains is themselves and the truth. You do not step forward to comfort them. You do not turn away. You simply stand there with the stillness of someone who understands that every moment is unfolding exactly as it must. And in that stillness, you feel a new layer of air, cleaner, brighter, as if heaven and earth are clearing a path for your next step. Finally, when they have nothing left to say but ragged breaths, truth reaches its final point in this scene. They brought themselves into ruin, not because you intervened, not because you struck back, but because truth has done what it always does, free you and expose them. And you know, with clarity, that this journey is not finished. Something deeper is still waiting. When truth reaches the deeper layers of the human soul, it does not stop at what the surface can see. It begins to spread into the corners they hid most carefully, where every scheme, every jealousy, every whisper was buried like hot ash, thought to be cold but ready to ignite with a single breath. You stand within that scene, not touching, not interfering, yet clearly feeling each wave of collapse spreading like a mirror, shattering from a great height. Every fragment reflecting a part of the truth they tried to avoid at all costs. One person in the group reveals an uncontrollable tremble for the first time. Their chin quivers, their shoulders sink, as if the soul has just been struck by its own hand. Not the strike of someone outside, but the strike of the truth they avoided for too long. In that moment, you see their eyes empty. No confidence remains, no calculation, only the raw gaze of someone who knows they have gone too far beyond the line their conscience could save. Another person lets slip a sentence that sounds half confession, half despair. The words are not loud, but when they land, the air changes completely. The others turn to look at them, not to unite, but to measure whether those words will pull them into danger. You see clearly what darkness once concealed. None of them were ever truly loyal to one another. They were only loyal to the fear of losing the false power they built by twisting truth. As light spreads deeper through that invisible room, everything they hid begins to surface. One avoids eye contact, one shifts their stance, one grips the edge of the table for support. These small reactions are signs of exposure they can no longer control. Truth does not ask whether they are ready. It simply advances, steady and certain, like a new day rising no matter how hard people try to hold on to the night. You feel a quiet current turning within you, not wind, not a whisper, but awareness appearing in the moments when the soul begins to grow from the inside. And like a sacred memory rising, you hear Psalm 27:1 echo through your mind. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Those words settle over you like a garment no one can see, yet everyone can feel the change in you. Not pride, but the calm of someone who knows they have been fully separated from a darkness that no longer belongs to them. That calm stands in sharp contrast to the scene they are sinking into. One person suddenly stands, trying to justify the actions of the whole group with tangled words. The more they speak, the more flaws appear in the story they built. Another clings to that excuse to save themselves, but their words turn back against an ally. Stories begin to contradict each other. Fragments of lies fall like rain on metal, and you realize the entire structure they built has reached its final limit. A strange stillness settles over you, and that stillness makes their chaos even clearer. You do not strain to observe because everything is lighting up on its own, as if an unseen hand is holding a lamp to every crack they tried to seal. You do not feel like a spectator. You feel like someone watching an old bandage fall away, revealing the true cause of the wound beneath. One person in the group suddenly changes their tone, as if realizing they have nothing left to lose. They speak a sentence that exposes a larger portion of the truth, and the whole group turns on them with anger mixed with fear. No one was prepared for this. They believed that if they stayed silent together, everything would remain buried. But the ground is rising now, and what rises is not dust, but the roots of betrayal they nurtured together. You watch this collapse the way one watches fog dissolve under sunlight. No sound is heard, yet everyone feels the emptiness when the fog no longer hides anything. Truth stands there, unmistakable and undeniable, and you see them resisting what cannot be resisted. A chill passes through, but not for you. It moves through them, making each person flinch as if hearing the call of what they fear most, consequence. One tries to shift blame, one avoids it, one stammers without forming a sentence. In that moment, you understand the deepest truth. Betrayal is never evenly divided. It always turns back to strike the one who planted it first. Then, from beneath all this chaos, you sense a movement that is gentle yet certain, like rotting wood finally splitting apart. This is no longer the sound of the rigged table collapsing. It is the sound of their inner system breaking completely. You step back one beat in your mind, not from fear, but to make space for what is sacred drawing near. And as truth reaches its peak, a sentence strikes your heart like final confirmation. Those who trust in him will not be shaken. Psalm 125.1 stands like a pillar driven into the ground beneath your feet, strong and unmovable, separating you from all their chaos. No one speaks another word. The air hardens like a verdict carved into stone. Truth has taken its place. They have nowhere left to run, and you, at last, have stepped out of their shadow. From within that dense silence, you feel a slow yet powerful movement, as if the entire space is shifting its axis. Truth no longer exposes only actions. It begins to expose the heart, and when the heart is laid bare, no one can hold their role anymore. Those who once stood together, laughed together, patted each other on the shoulder in the dark, now turn to look at one another with the eyes of people who have just realized they are standing on sinking ground. No more false intimacy, no more unity, only souls that fear the light more than they fear failure. You clearly see each layer of tension stretching through the air like a rope pulled too far. One person tries to stand tall, yet their knees buckle in a moment they think no one notices. Another clenches their fists until the knuckles turn white. They know the story they once installed is unraveling. They know there is nowhere left to hide in the shadows. The space seems to widen, forcing each person to face their own reflection, with no place left to shelter behind the crowd. You feel a warm current pass across your chest, like a reminder that you are not being pulled into this chaos. A verse lights up within you, gentle yet deep, like a hand resting on your shoulder. He will bring me out of the snare, for he is my refuge. Psalm 31:4 enters the space like a fresh breath, inviting you to stand firmly on the ground that belongs to you. It does not come to protect you from them, but to protect you from the fear that once made you doubt your own worth. At that moment, someone in the group lets out a distorted laugh, not the laugh of a victor, but the laugh of a soul cracking apart. The sound touches everyone else, making them flinch. No one trusts anyone anymore. Eyes dart quickly, scanning, suspecting, trying to see who will be exposed first. And that very instability pushes them to the point of no return. You sense the air changing color. A new layer of space opens around you, separating you from the tremors they are falling into. You stand in a light that is soft yet sharp, and from there you see every crack spreading beneath their feet, not cracks caused by anything external, but by the choices they planted over many months. A person can hide actions for a moment, but the heart cannot remain hidden forever. A sharp breath escapes from someone. They can no longer hold it in. They look around, hoping to find someone to pull them back from the edge. But the others are also reaching their own breaking points. One person jumps up from their chair, eyes bloodshot, as if realizing they are standing inside the storm they once believed belonged to you. They tremble, not because their guilt is exposed, but because they realize no one in this group will take responsibility. Here, everyone is ready to push someone else down just to stay afloat a few seconds longer. Another person shrinks inward, avoiding every gaze. But that avoidance only makes them stand out more. The mask they once held so tightly is falling, piece by piece. No one needs to tear it away. Truth strips the disguise from their skin on its own. You see it clearly, like sunlight. They are no longer protecting one another. They are protecting their individual fear. And when everyone protects only themselves, no alliance can exist. Another moment passes, a moment stretched like a breath held in the chest. Then, from somewhere, a small voice breaks out. It was not me. I was just following them. You hear those words like a chain snapping open. Someone else reacts instantly, denying, shifting blame back. And just like that, everything falls like dominoes. What they once built together as complicity is now torn apart by their own hands. This is not collapse. This is self-disintegration of a structure that never had a soul. You watch this scene with a clarity you once might not have believed possible, not because you are stronger than them, but because you have stepped beyond the need to be understood by them. When a soul no longer seeks false validation, it naturally becomes the light that makes every lie fade. A strange peace settles within you, not the peace of someone watching a battle from afar, but the peace of someone who knows justice is standing exactly where it belongs. Then another verse gently flows through your heart, like water over stone. Truth and mercy will preserve you. Psalm 40:11 is not speaking about them. It is speaking about you. It explains why you remain standing while they fall one by one into the trap they dug. And you understand, this is no longer the exposure of an old group. This is the exposure of the journey you have walked. Truth does not only remove their masks, it removes the mask from your fear. It shows you that you were never small, never alone, never weak as they made you believe. You were not the target. You were the mirror. And a mirror does not choose who it reflects. It simply shows what stands before it. The space grows quiet again, but this time it is not the quiet of chaos. It is the quiet of something preparing to be revealed even deeper. You know the exposure has not ended. What comes next is not outer light, but the light that will shine into the final layer of darkness they hid most carefully. You feel that moment as if the ground beneath everyone is shedding its skin, layer by layer, not with loud noise, but with a subtle shift that makes every soul in that invisible room hold its breath. When truth reaches this depth, it no longer touches only the actions they tried to hide. It pulls out the secret motives they themselves never dared to face. The reasons they chose to turn against you, the insecurities they hid beneath smiles, the wounds they covered with arrogance, all of it now appears clear like words carved into stone, impossible to erase, impossible to deny. One person in the group suddenly breaks the silence with a deep inhale, as if they were just pushed underwater and barely surfaced to breathe. Their eyes scan around looking for escape, then stop on you, not to beg, but to face something they never dared to confront. You're calm. You stand there, unmoved, unshaken, and that calm becomes the proof that sends them deeper into panic. They once thought your silence was weakness, but now they see that silence is the strength that makes the whole group tremble. Another turns to a former ally, searching for agreement, but meets a stare cold as stone, the stare of someone calculating who must be sacrificed to save themselves. Masks continue to fall. The stories they rehearsed together now reveal their stiffness. No soul, no unity. Each person bends the narrative toward their own survival. Every word they speak hits an invisible wall and echoes back, exposing raw contradiction. You see their fear changing shape. It is no longer fear of being surpassed by you, but fear of betrayal from within their own ranks. It is primal fear, survival fear, the fear of being left behind as the boat sinks. And once that fear rises, no alliance can survive. A warm current seems to flow into your bones, slowing your breath, not physical light, but the light of divine awareness. It is as if a sentence is placed within you. The Lord preserves the upright, but the wicked will be cut off. Psalm 37:28 does not thunder. It lands in you like a small stone, creating wide ripples. You understand, divine protection is not loud intervention. It is clear separation between truth and falsehood, between a soul that stands and a soul that breaks itself. As that light spreads, you see what you were not calm enough to see before. They were never strong. All they had was the illusion of collective power, a cheap authority built on noise and numbers. But numbers do not create truth. Numbers only hide individual fear. And when that covering tears, they stand before each other with the full truth of who they are, a truth they cannot endure. One person blurts out, "Why is everything collapsing so fast?" Their voice breaks. No one answers, but you know the answer, because they built their house with bricks of lies. And the wind of truth only needs to blow lightly for it to fall. Another begins to tremble, arms crossed over their chest as if trying to cover what is being exposed. But the more they cover, the more is revealed. The gaps in the story they once agreed on widen like cracks in glass. Everywhere you look, there are signs of breakdown. Everywhere you look, their inner world is falling. They try to speak, but every sentence betrays the speaker. They try to laugh, but the sound is like metal being scraped. They turn to each other seeking support, but receive only avoidance. That invisible room becomes a place where each person faces their own map of guilt, with no shared map left to rely on. You take a slow breath, feeling the clear separation between your soul and the chaos they are creating. You do not hate them. You do not wish their fall. But you understand this is inevitable when a structure is built on betrayal. And inevitability does not require your touch. It operates on its own. Another current moves within you like a gentle reminder. Not everyone who is exposed is destroyed. Some are exposed so they can find their way back to the light. But in this group, no one stands still long enough to recognize that chance. They run, they blame, they hide. They turn on each other. They choose the path that turns exposure into a sentence. You see fine dust falling, not the dust of failure, but the dust of false cement peeling away from a true foundation. And within that dust, you feel yourself stepping into a new quiet space, a space where their voices no longer reach. They continue sinking into the chaos they created. You continue standing in a light you did not seek, but were given. And the entire invisible room begins to change color, opening the way for what will be revealed next, something deeper than collapse, something tied to a destiny you never knew you were carrying. When everything seems to have been revealed enough, the invisible room where this story unfolds suddenly becomes so still that even breathing can be heard. Not the stillness of an evening before a storm, but the stillness of a verdict already written that no one dares to read aloud. You stand in that space, no longer feeling surrounded, no longer carrying the pressure of eyes that once tried to suffocate you. You stand like someone who has climbed out from the bottom of a deep well and touched the first layer of free air, a freedom that does not come from striking back, but from truth separating you from everything that never belonged to you. Those people, once an alliance that seemed unbreakable, now appear scattered like shadows that no longer know how to find one another. They look around, unable to deceive anyone anymore, not even themselves. No one dares to speak another word. Each person seems to hear the cracking inside their own soul, the cracking of truth they avoided for far too long. They tremble not because you remain standing, but because they have nothing left to hold on to. You see clearly that this change is not their end. It is the moment they must face their true self. Something lies can no longer save. One person in the group steps back, then another step, as if trying to escape the ground that has just been stripped bare. But they do not know that stepping back does not remove truth. Truth follows quietly and never leaves. Another lowers their head, shoulders collapsing like someone who has received a sentence without anyone speaking it. The rest stand still, eyes shifting from panic to emptiness, as if their souls are too tired to resist anymore. You look at them not with anger, but with understanding. This is consequence, not punishment. Then in that silence, a sentence rises within you like a bell echoing from afar. The truth will set you free. Not spoken by anyone in this room, but an echo from Scripture, where lost souls find their way back to light. You realize that this entire journey was never about proving anything to them, but about proving something to yourself, that you are not defined by the words they placed on you, that you were not bent by their noise, that the truth within you is stronger than any wind that they gathered to blow against you. Before you even finish breathing through that realization, a small layer of memory flashes through your mind. Memories of nights when you felt alone, moments when misunderstanding choked your breath, times you wanted to collapse because you did not know who stood with you. And in that exact moment, another verse from the Psalms rises as if written for this hour. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4 does not come as comfort, but as confirmation. You walked through the valley they created for you, and you did not just survive, you rose. And as you rise, you see yourself stepping out of the chaos they made, like someone leaving a smoke-filled room to stand in the morning breeze. You no longer carry the smell of burned lies, no longer the dust of battles that never belonged to you. You step into the place your soul was chosen for from the beginning, not the place of a victor, but the place of one who knows they belong to the light. Behind you, small whispers begin among them. Someone wants one last person to blame, but no one listens. Someone else tries to gather a final trace of old power, but power slips from their hands like sand through fingers. When truth reaches this point, nothing false can be held. Every illusion falls. Every role turns to ash. You take one step forward, not to confront them, not to prove you were right, but to step out of the old story. You feel your legs grow lighter, as if each step shakes loose invisible wounds you once thought you had to carry forever. But you do not carry them. They never belonged to you. They were burdens they tried to place on you so you would bow with them. You did not bow. And now you walk. A stream of air moves through you, carrying the feeling of a door just opened. You do not see that door with your eyes, but your soul knows it is there. A door to a new chapter, a door to a path you have not walked yet, but has already been prepared. A door to the freedom that truth gives. And in that moment, one final sentence touches you like the seal of this journey. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Psalm 34:8 enters your heart like a warm stone placed there not to burn, but to heal. You understand that His goodness was present even in the moments you thought you were abandoned. That goodness is found in the way truth is revealed, not to humiliate, but to free those who belong to the light. A deep breath fills your chest. You look back one last time at the ground where they are tangled in their own web, not with pride, but with farewell. You do not hate them. You do not wish their destruction. You simply know you no longer belong there. You have gone farther, deeper, higher. As you turn away, you feel light opening the path ahead. No fireworks, no applause, only the peace of a soul that knows it crossed the battle not with weapons, but with truth. They played their game. They remain within the consequences of their own making. And you step out, chosen, protected, lifted. And your journey, though forged through fire, is only now truly beginning.
Grateful that you chose to spend these moments in the light of this story. If it touched your soul, please like, share, and subscribe, and ring the bell so the next whisper of light may find its way back to you.